Do you have any of these patterns? Yo-yo motivation. That's where you get excited about a new goal or a new change you want to make in your life or a new project, but then after a few weeks or a month or so, you find that you start to lose discipline, you lose drive, and you fall back into the old way of doing things. That's yo-yo motivation. Do you have a pattern where you have any avoidance behaviours? You put off big or important tasks until tomorrow or into next week. Is the kind of mindset where it's like, yeah, I'll do that later. And you just tend to avoid hard conversations or those important tasks that are really going to move the needle. Do you tend to leave things to the last minute, right before the deadline? Right before the deadline, when things are due and the pressure's on, that's when you get the most work done. And this episode will also be especially relevant if you're feeling fatigued or on the verge of burnout, and that makes it hard to be consistent. Or if you're a massive stress head or you're always worrying about your business or worrying about other people. In this episode, we're going to unpack the root cause of all of this, and we're going to give you the tools to fix it as well. This is High Performance Unlocked.
Welcome to High Performance Unlocked. As a high performer, you know that your personal development is the defining factor of your success and the quality of your life. In each episode, international performance coach Ben Elliott will unpack proven, practical, and bulletproof strategies that he has been using to help unlock the success, the performance, and the mindsets of business owners and leaders from around the globe. So if you're ready to go to the next level, then stay tuned. If you want to get there faster, then visit highperformanceunlocked.com. Now, here's Ben Elliott.
And today, it's all about motivation secrets. So I want to make this really clear right up front. Motivation is all about taking action. If there's no action, there's no reality of a motivational driver. So the real key here is understanding how you and I psychologically spur ourselves on and knowing what drives us into taking action. And the key word here is psychologically, okay? As high performers, we want our goals, we want our achievements. So our minds are always going to find a way to get the job done and push ourselves forward. But the challenge is if we're motivating ourselves in an unproductive way, in an unhealthy way, or in a limiting way, that's where we're going to get some of those effects like the yo-yo behaviors, the avoidance behaviors, the worry patterns, and the stress patterns that we can't switch off. So let's begin to dive in and let's begin to unpack this. So an important principle about your psychology. People tend to try to avoid things or move away from things that are perceived as painful or hard or unenjoyable. They want to get away from that stuff. They want to avoid that stuff. They tend to procrastinate when there's perceived pain or a lack of enjoyment or it appears to be hard, right? But people also tend to go towards and seek things out that are perceived as enjoyable, or they're easy, or they're desirable, beneficial, or there's some sort of meaning attached. The thing that you're going towards is meaningful to them. So this is an important principle about your psychology. If you can understand this, you can understand a lot about why people do the things that they do. So let's talk about donkey motivation, because that's going to relate to you and it's going to relate to me. So there are two ways to motivate a donkey. The first way is to take a really big stick, whack the donkey on the behind, hit it really, really hard on the backside. And that pain, that stress, what it's going to do is going to cause the donkey to start to move forward from point A towards point B. Now, of course, you can't whack the donkey just one time and then it will continue to walk forward forever. What will happen is inevitably you'll hit the donkey really hard. That pain, that stress will make the donkey then move forward. But eventually the pain is going to disappear and the stress will disappear and then that donkey will stand still again. So then what you need to do is take that same stick and whack it really, really hard on the backside and then it will start to move again from point A to point B. And again, you have to continue to repeat the process of using the stick, using the pain, using the fear, using the stress to motivate that donkey to get from point A to point B, hitting it every single time. The second way to motivate the donkey, just like those old cartoons, you have someone sitting on the donkey and they have the fishing rod, and that fishing rod has the carrot attached to the line and to the string. You just dangle that carrot in front of the eyes of the donkey. And because the donkey sees the carrot, wants the carrot, desires the carrot, it starts to walk forward, going towards the carrots. The second way to motivate a donkey is just like those cartoons. There'll be a rider on the donkey, fishing rod, and then on the line, they attach a carrot to that fishing rod, dangling that carrot in front of the eyes of the donkey. The donkey can see the carrot, it desires the carrot, it wants the carrot, and it starts walking towards that carrot. And it starts moving forward from point A to point B based on it wants something, it desires something, and it will move forward because of that. So there are two opposite ways to motivate a donkey. So how does that relate to you and I? Well, as high performers, because we want to achieve things, we have goals, we're always going to find ways to motivate ourselves to move forward. But the thing is, with a lot of high performers, we are naturally more stick motivated individuals, these stressor achievers, where we actually take action not because of the carrots in our life or the things that we want or our desires. A lot of the time, we're motivated by these sticks that are self-imposed and we psychologically do to ourselves in order to help us move from point A to point B. So as an example of this, stick motivated is when there's an or else mentality. I better do this or else this negative thing might happen. It's self-talk, putting pressure on yourself, beating yourself up as a way to spur yourself into taking action. Now, a lot of this stuff is happening in the back of your mind. You don't really consciously wake up and plan to beat yourself up this way. But again, it's just a pattern and a habit that your mind's developed in order to help you and make you take action and be motivated. So it's thoughts like you're going to fail if you don't do this, or you don't do that, there's going to be a bad result, you're going to miss out on something. It's, again, you're taking action because of the stick of a stressful deadline. That deadline's coming up, and then you see that deadline coming and the stress goes through the roof. The worst case scenarios go through your mind, getting yelled at, missing something out, a failure happening. And all of a sudden, that is the stick that actually pushes you into taking action. So if you're someone who has that deadline mentality, when that deadline's approaching, next time it happens, I want you to stop and notice how you're talking to yourself, how you're thinking in those kind of moments. What kind of self-talk are you using? Are you beating yourself up? Are you thinking worst case scenarios? The stress is there. You can see how all of that is a big stick trying to drive you into finally taking action. Stick motivated kind of thinking is when you're focused on what you don't want or don't want to happen. So they're the kind of moments when it comes to the yo-yo behaviors and the yo-yo motivation. You get to this point where you get confronted with the reality of where you are in life, where your business is, and how it's not where you want it to be. And you start to realize how much you hate that and how frustrating it is. You look at yourself in the mirror and you're like nowhere close to being the kind of healthy individual that you want to be. You hate how you look, you hate how you feel, everything hurts in the morning when you get up. You're hating the reality of where you are, and that's a big stressor, and it's also a big stick. So let's use 3 examples of focusing on what you don't want. So number 1 would be your business growth, right? You take a moment and you're like, hey, I'm not happy here. And you notice how bad the numbers are in your business. You're noticing all the culture issues with your team. You're not hitting targets, or it's that realization that, hey, I could be at this level in my business, this level in my finances, but I'm not there because I haven't led well, haven't taken action, haven't followed through and finished things. So that there becomes this massive stick where all of a sudden that inspiration, that drive, that motivation from that pain, from that stress makes you then put together a new plan, start to want to implement changes, and then it kind of stick motivates you to then start moving forward and take a bunch of action. The second example of focusing on what you don't want is that point, again, as we said before, about the body. You need a body to be a high performer. Let's just say it as it is. You need to have a healthy, strong body in order to be a consistent high performer. You need your body to move, to think, to act, to take action. It's just how it is. So you're overweight, you're tired, everything hurts when you move, right? All of a sudden, you're at that point and you're thinking, okay, I hate this. And then you go, okay, I'm going to make a change. You then join a gym, hire the best trainer, you research all the fad diets online, and then you buy all the new groceries. But then all of a sudden, like 2 weeks later, you fall back into those bad patterns. Even though the stick and the pain was really strong, really, really severe, it got you into action, but you notice that that pain subsided and then you fall back into old patterns. You get busy again, You don't exercise, you don't train, you cancel personal training sessions, the patterns continue until you're back in that pain. The third example could be focusing on what you don't want, is your partner tells you that they aren't happy. Boom, all of a sudden you're motivated with that big stick to finally read those relationship books. Or you're noticing that your kids are growing up fast and you realize how much time you've missed out on being with them because you haven't been in control of your life, or haven't been in control of your business, or because you haven't figured out the success game or the money game yet. In those moments of realization, it's really stressful and really negative, and it's this massive stick that really stresses you out, causes that pain, but it does cause you to take action. You make new plans, you reach out to new coaches, you get new ideas, and you start to work longer hours, and you start to prioritize your life differently, and it's all being motivated by that massive stick. The thing about all of that, though, is that focus is coming from focusing on what you don't want. And even though you do go, no, I want this instead, the thing that actually drove you to take action was a stick, and it wasn't a carrot. So these are powerful motivators, and they do actually work. They do actually spur you on into action. But the challenge is this: it comes with a lot of problems. And why is that? Well, let me ask you, with stick motivation, at what point is your motivation at its very peak? At what point are you the most motivated when you're a stick motivated person? The motivation at its peak is at the peak of pain and the peak of frustration and the peak of you being upset with your results. That is the peak time when you are motivated. When you get hit really hard with that stick, that's when you implement, that's when you plan, that's when you change, and that's when you take those steps forward. So this is just like the donkey though. As you move away from that pain, because you'll take massive action, again, you'll join the gym, you'll redo your numbers, you'll change the culture, you'll have those hard conversations finally, you'll read those relationship books, you'll make changes that you need to make, and you'll do whatever to get away from that pain. But at some point, that stick pain isn't as painful anymore because you've started to get some results. All of a sudden, you're having a great month with your business and you have a massive influx of cash flow, and it's awesome. You've got rid of the toxic staff member in your team, and you've already started interviewing a new gun person who's going to be great in your team. All of a sudden, you've read the relationship books and you've applied some of those things, had the hard conversations, and the things are on the way up. So at that point, when things are on the way up, that pain subsides, and what happens with the motivation? The motivation starts to dip again. And this is that yo-yo behavior. You've switched on and you're all in for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. The pain starts to go away. And because there's no more live whack of that stick, you start to creep back into your old patterns, your old behaviors, your old habits. Just because it's not as bad as it was before, you take your foot off the gas. And how does stick motivation relate to avoidance patterns? Well, in order to take action on something big, something new, or when you're facing a fear, that's going to cause you a fair bit of stress. So if you have avoidance behaviors, it's already negative and away from. So in order for you to take action on something that's already perceived as painful, you'll actually need to create a bigger perception of pain within yourself to trump the pain of the task, the pain of stepping out of your comfort zone, the pain of learning something new that you're going to suck at. So what you'll need to do then is you'll need to create that inner dialogue of pressure, that inner dialogue of stress, that inner dialogue of worst case scenarios, or you'll have to use an external thing like a deadline in order to spur you and give you more pain to trump the pain of the task. And that brings me to the stressor achiever types. You want to keep going and achieve things. You want to change and you want to get a result, but you're stick motivated, but you also don't want to yo-yo. So what kind of pattern does that create? Well, that creates the stressor achiever type of pattern. And I know this one really, really well. This was my life for many years. So the stressor achiever is the stress thoughts, the worst case scenarios, the worrying about people, the worrying about business or your job, the worrying about finances, whatever. It's using those stresses and those worries and those things as factors to spur you on into action. So if you're a stressor achiever, there's this underlying stress or worry that's just kind of in the background all the time. You might not be aware of it all the time, but anytime you try and go to sleep at night, your mind's kind of really busy. Or anytime you stop, you notice that you're pretty tense and you're not really relaxed. You can often get exhausted. You can be easily frustrated. You find it hard to let things go. And again, this pattern is really just your mind using stress and using worry thoughts to motivate you into taking action and to push your life and your goals forward. So it's super common for me to have clients that are like really successful, but then they want to go to the next level. Typical high performer. You're doing really, really well, but you know there's another level and you're hungry for it, and that's great. Typical high performers. I'm the same. So they've been these stressor achievers for so long that it's hard for them to imagine leveling up their lives while feeling calm, confident, and totally in control. And for some, it's even a wrestle to work on being stress-free. They have this resistance initially to even working on it, and the root of that block is because they don't know how to be motivated and driven without the stress or without the worry. They're afraid they'll get complacent or be lazy or not perform at a high level without that stress and without that pressure. So before we jump into the solution to all of this, let's just quickly take a moment to reflect. Out of everything that's been spoken so far, what are you relating to the most? What are you relating to the most? What's standing out to you the most? Are you seeing the need to make this change? I hope you are. So the shift that we're talking about making is becoming a carrot motivated person. Again, that's where the carrots dangled in front of the eyes of the donkey are making the donkey out of desire, out of what it perceives it's going to gain, out of that positive desire, it's going to start to move forward from point A to point B. So the carrots, when you're motivated by the carrot, it's sustainable and it brings out high performance. So the carrots spur you on to action by the focus on the positive and by the focus of what you're going to get and all the benefits and all the positive meaning behind it, okay? So big picture, your carrots are when you are driven by your vision, your goals, your values, by what can be achieved and what could be created. You think about these things and it lights you up and inspires you. The kind of self-talk here isn't stress and worry. The kind of self-talk is like, I'll get to do this so I can get this outcome, or I'll produce this result, or this will feel amazing once that's completed, or once that's done, or once that's in operation, and once that's happening, it's going to give us this, this, and this. By doing this, I'm going to get that benefit. And it's all that kind of self-talk, and it's exciting, it's positive, and it's really, really empowering as well. So I want to highlight right now, a lot of people listening to this are going to think, yeah, I do the sticks, but I also do what you're talking about there with the carrots. But the truth is, most high performers are so stick driven that even when they're aware of their carrots, it's not their carrots that spur them into action. Remember that definition, that motivation is what's spurring you into taking action. So a lot of people, high performers wise, a lot of high performers, they'll have an idea of their carrots, but their carrots haven't become that thing that spurs them into taking the right actions, okay? So you actually have to train your mind to amplify that desire, amplify that belief that you can achieve your goals, and also get really, really clear on the meaning of those carrots. Like, how much will this mean to you by doing this and accomplishing it? Who else is going to benefit from you achieving that goal, by you ticking that off? It needs to get to the point where those carrots actually spur you into action. And then it gets to the point where that's like subconsciously just how you think. You wake up in the morning, you think about your work, and then you're excited because of all the things you get to tick off. You're excited about what breakthroughs you're getting in the day. You're excited about what you're going to get done and what you're going to progress with. And that has to become your new fuel. So for most people, with carrots, it's just a concept and it's not a real developed mindset that I want you to have. So before I give you some tools, I want to be really clear on how you're going to know when you're really carrot motivated. So the first way you'll know is that you'll be consistent. The motivation is coming from the desire for the final product or the vision being fulfilled. So you won't stop until you've seen the goal or you've seen the project through. You put your mind to something and the motivation is consistent until the job is done or the goal is accomplished. Second thing you'll notice it by is you'll actually stop the avoidance patterns, because the pleasure or the meaning of your carrots will actually outweigh the pain or the uncomfortability of the task, and you'll find a way to do it. Okay, so again, the pleasure and the meaning is then outweighing the pain or the uncomfortability of that big task that you used to put off. Instead of doing things last minute, you'll be proactive simply because you want the carrot. So you'll start moving forward, and waiting and procrastinating will be perceived as painful or unenjoyable or like you're missing out. And the self-talk in your head is going to start to be positive. It'll be encouraging. And even the criticism that you have of yourself, it'll be a constructive criticism. So, and lastly, you'll have way more energy and way more mental space. And that'll be because you'll be getting things done consistently, and you won't be using stress or worry as a fuel, and then your adrenal glands won't be fried as well. So I had this massive realization for myself that I needed to work on this. And this is why I started studying and really looking into the root cause of motivation, because before I knew that this was a thing, and before I'd done all the research into the neuroscience and all these types of human behavior things, I was noticing that, hey, me in my early 20s, running my first business, I was stressed to the max, and I was always busy-minded, couldn't sleep, just running on coffee, and just constantly a positive person still. I was very positive, but underneath the surface, I was like super stressed and super just worrying all the time. And the realization hit me was when I was so totally exhausted, but then I would meet other people who were working twice the hours as me, and they had way more energy. And I was thinking, wow, I'm like fitter and I eat healthier than that person, but I'm way more tired. They do way more hours and they have way more pressure on their life. There has to be some sort of a thing going on here. And that was because I was that stressor achiever, that really stick motivated person. And when I made the shift, just like you can make the shift from stick to carrot motivated, the energy that you get out of that, it is life-changing. The clear-mindedness, it's just incredible. And I want you to have that too. So let's jump in how you can actually start to do it. So to make this change, there are 3 steps, and I actually have a worksheet that'll walk you through these 3 steps, okay? So if you want that worksheet, just go to www.highperformanceunlocked.com. So that's all one word, www.highperformanceunlocked.com. And on the homepage, as soon as you arrive at that website, you'll see a big link to the podcast worksheets, okay? So I recommend get the worksheet, and then you can start using these 3 things every day. So here are the 3 steps. Number 1 is you have to write out all of your carrots. Every single desire, every single benefit, every single positive thing that you're wanting to achieve, okay? So not just the achievements, but also the reasons why you want to achieve them. The more meaningful you make this and the more time you spend on it, the juicier those carrots are going to be. Don't write things like, I don't want to be tired, I don't want to be broke, I don't want to be a loser. You have to write down exactly what you want. It's what are the carrots, what are the benefits of them, what are those desires, those goals, and all the positive things that you want, and make a massive list of your carrots, okay? When you make your list, also just circle the main carrots that mean the most to you, the ones that evoke the most positivity. And you need to read these every single day before you start your work day. Before you start work, you need to read your carrot list to bring your carrots to the front of mind. And over time, you're going to retrain yourself to act from carrot motivation versus stick motivation. So that's step number 1. Again, go to highperformanceunlocked.com, get the worksheet, and that way we'll walk you through all of these things. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 of 3, you need to spend time visualizing all the benefits and all the positive changes to your life, all the positive changes and benefits to your leadership and business by having these carrots and accomplishing these goals. If you don't spend the time visualizing it, it's going to keep it as a logical concept, and it won't actually hit the subconscious part of your mind, which is the automatic habits, the things that really going to bring up the emotion to make those carrots juicy and help you propel forward. So the visualization side of things is really, really important. It's going to take it from a theory into something that's actually going to transform your life, okay? So with that, I would recommend doing visualization again, 5 minutes as you're falling asleep at night. You just visualize all the benefits, all the changes by accomplishing that goal or by making that change. See the result, see the benefits of that result, see how your life is better, you're a better leader, and your business is better because of that change, because of accomplishing that goal. By visualizing, you're going to help rewire and retrain your mind to be driven by the carrots. Step number 3 is you need to track your wins every single day. You need to track your wins every single day. The best time to do this is once you've finished work for the day, take 5 minutes, reflect on what went well that day, reflect on what you accomplished that day, and really focus on how what you did today has a positive effect on your life, on your business, on your job, on your world, okay? If you don't track your wins, you're not going to feel like you're moving forward, and that means you won't feel successful, and it won't seem like you're nibbling away at the carrots, okay? Tracking the wins is a part of transforming you from stick, stressor achiever, into a carrot-driven high performer, okay? Tracking your wins is major. As a high performer, you'll naturally have a leaning to be gap-focused. There's always a gap between where you are and where you want to be. And if you don't track your wins, because even when you accomplish things, you immediately set the next goal, the bigger goal, and you keep stretching yourself. If you don't track your wins, you're going to feel like you're never getting there, which means even though there's carrots in front of you, you never tasted the carrots. And then those carrots in the end, they stop being appealing to you because they're always too far away in the future. By simply tracking your wins at night, it's going to help your mind relax and let go of the day, bookend of the day, or help your brain switch off. But it's also going to help you in terms of that carrot motivation, because you're going, wow, I did that today, I did that today, I did that today. It'll make you feel good. And then we want to feel good because that way we're driven to have more of those feelings in the future. So we'll be driven to have more of those feelings of feeling successful on a daily basis. So again, all the details and the walkthroughs on how to apply this are all found at highperformanceunlocked.com. You'll see the podcast worksheet link right on the homepage, and then this will walk you through it in detail. So we spent a lot of time on the stick today because the stick is where a lot of those patterns are coming from. The best way to develop those carrots is do those exercises. They seem offensively simple, but they do work. And remember, I've been doing this for 14 years, working with high-performing leaders, high-performing business owners get to the next level. And this stuff, as simple as it is, if you do it consistently and implement it, you can really have a transformation. So don't let this just be information. Don't let it just be exciting. Actually do the work, go to the site, use the worksheet, and then really knuckle down and make this shift happen for you. So as we land, I just want you to ask yourself, what is the biggest takeaway that you have from today's episode? Just think about that now. And what action or what actions are you going to take as a result of listening to this? I hope you enjoyed today, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode.
You've been listening to High Performance Unlocked with Ben Elliott. If you're enjoying the show, let us know by subscribing and leaving a review. For more information, visit highperformanceunlocked.com.